Beltane had passed, and yet I find there is always time for more seasonal festivities. With summer begun, we'd entered into the light half of the year. The flowers had returned, and it was time to celebrate the fertility of the earth, that which continuously brings us so much abundance and prosperity. The past couple of weeks, I'd had the pleasure of experiencing the joy of the peony, the magnolia, the honeysuckle, the wisteria, which had blossomed much earlier this year and was already on its way out. But now, in my garden, vibrant peony buds were beginning to open up in a showy display of sweetly scented hot pink frill. I'd spent the week before Beltane making a cape and hat for the season in this very colour, as I find the passionate pink to be quite abundant in my area around this time. Just a few steps from my home are some double crimson flowering hawthorns, and a little further away, pink spruce cones were growing up from the conifer branches. To see vibrant colours amongst the green is always such a delight, and I find this hot pink to be so very fitting for this season of passion and fertility. Speaking of fertility, I was still of course enjoying the maypole I'd created for my garden, but I felt someone very special also deserved to experience the magic of the maypole. And so today, I was to create a mini version for my dear friend, Mr. Squirrel. For this craft, I made a clay stand for a stick I had already stripped of its bark, then painted it purple with green leaves to represent spiritual growth. All dried, it was time to slot the stick into its stand. I chose to continue using my theme of pink, purple and green for the ribbons. Purple for wisdom and transformation. Green for health and growth. And pink for love and beauty. I gathered all the ribbons together and fastened them with a pin so that the ribbons could move freely. I then spread them out and glued them to the top of the pole. Traditionally, maypoles were made from a tall straight tree such as a birch, pine or ash, and then decorated with a garland of flowers and ribbons. Branches of the blossoming hawthorn were often used to adorn the garland and are often depicted in representations of the maypole. I've worked quite a bit with the hawthorn this month and do not wish to remove any more from the trees, and so will be making my garland from a few small wildflowers that I gathered in a nearby marsh area. In her book, The Sacred Tree, Mrs. J.H. Philpott notes that for maypoles in England, it was the custom to erect a fresh tree every year in order that the newly awakened energy of the forest might be communicated to the village. This is also the reason behind why, in some locations, leaves were traditionally left unclipped at the top of the pole, as it served as a reminder and a physical representation of the year's incarnation of the vegetation or nature spirit. With the garland complete, I tied on 3 pieces of yarn and attached them to the pole with the glue gun. And there it was, a completed mini maypole fit for the finest of squirrels. It is traditional to weave daisy chains around the time of Beltane, which can be hung around children's necks for protection. I would love to make a daisy chain for Mr. Squirrel. I'm not sure he will put it on, but I think it would be a nice little gesture. With the chain complete, I hung it onto my little squirrel ornament to protect the squirrels in my area. My next craft for the blossoming Beltane season would be a May basket full of fresh flowers. Baskets are a symbol of the sacred marriage, the union of the god and goddess, a symbol of wholeness and creation. For my basket, I bundled some fresh wild flowers I'd gathered in my area so that they'd sit nicely in the basket for display. If one doesn't have a squirrel-sized basket like mine, one can always make one from vines or craft paper. The making of a May basket is a very sweet and charming tradition. In the past, boys would leave them on the door of the girl they liked, and then run away. If she happened to open the door and see her admirer, she could chase him down the street and give him a peck on the cheek. I am quite pleased with the presentation of this May basket. I'm sure Mr. Squirrel will appreciate it too. Beltane is a time of love, of honouring the union of masculine and feminine, a time of handfastings and making commitments. On my walk in the forest on Beltane Eve, I was so very blessed to have come across a wonderful heart-shaped stone. Bringing it home with me, I knew I'd like to celebrate the union of the Lord and Lady this season by painting them onto the stone as May Queen and Lord of the Forest. At Beltane, the electing of a king or queen of May was a general custom throughout Europe. In her book, The Sacred Tree, Mrs. J.H. Philpott notes that the original purpose was, no doubt, to personify the regal character of the spirit who ruled the woods. But in other cases, the representative is termed a bridegroom or bride, emphasizing another attribute of the deity. In England, the crowning of the May Queen closed the long day's ceremonies, and the young people who had been up before sunrise to bring in the May and had danced all day upon the village green ended their pleasant labours at sundown with this graceful observance. In some instances, 2 representatives of the spirit of vegetation were chosen under the names of King and Queen, or Prince and Princess, or Lord and Lady. The King and Queen are mentioned in an English document of the 13th century, and there is evidence to show that Robin Hood and Maid Marian were originally representatives of the vegetation spirit, for the former is spoken of in an old book of 1576 as King of the May, while Marian, or May Marian, as she was sometimes called, was certainly a Queen of May, and as such was represented wearing a golden crown and carrying in her hand a red pink, the emblem of summer. bells and more bells. They're always a favourite tradition of mine at Beltane. Last year, I hung a whole bunch of them from my apple tree, and they sparkled in the sunlight like little golden apples. Bells are often hung for protection at this time. One type of bell we perhaps often forget the magic of is that of the wind chime. Recently, I found one under my bed in a box that had been tucked away for over 10 years. I thought that this would be the perfect time to reposition it back into the garden where it belongs. The wind chime originated in China, where they were already casting bells by 1100 BC. These were considered religious objects, and still to this day have their uses in ritual and magical workings there. Hung in your garden, the bell-like musical sound can attract kind spirits and drive away baneful ones. And it looks like Mr. Squirrel is already having a bit of fun with it. With wind chime hung and my beautiful crafts all completed, it was time to put them out for the beloved squirrel's Beltane party.
Oh wow, a Beltane party. Must be from Zemi. Don't ruin the display. Careful, careful. Ah, I smell nuts. Nuts, 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 no. Nut. Brewing my potion, brewing my potion, brewing my... Oh, nut. Oh, score. I love a good nut. Brewing my potion, brewing my potion. Oh.
What a sweet nut.
Yummy, yummy. I think someone's been here. I can't see anyone. No, no. Ah, peony.
Who's that?
Oh, she's gone. Finally, she's gone. Go back to find my nuts. Oh no, she's here. She's here. Be still. Don't move. I'm just a statue.
Who are you trying to fool?
Ah! Ah! Ah!
Get out of here. Huh. I found these nuts first. Men these days don't know how to treat a lady.
She's crazy, that one. Besides, I was here first. And all this was set up from Zemi for me. I've just got to get back to those nuts. Maybe I could. Ah! Ah! Oh, crazy lady. Ah! Ah, she just won't give up. Oh, Lord and Lady. Great artistry. Ah, a May basket.
Oh, glorious flower. Tender petals.
Oh, sweet peony. And glorious maypole. Zemi really outdid herself this time. Oh, she's back. Where can I hide? I'm just brewing my potion, minding my business, brewing my potion. Ah! Ah!
The moon, she dances like the waves on the shore, making circles like the waves on the shore.